In World War II, the Nazis attacked the United States. They sank many ships off the Atlantic coast. But we aren't talking about that right now. This is the nighttime fiasco. So crank the volume up to 11, grab a beer, and sit back and relax. Let's have some fun.
What a fiasco! House calls are definitely evidence to my help.
War Memorial is paying good money to witness this fiasco.
The nighttime fiasco is recorded in front of a live studio audience. Well, our audience is out there, and we are here doing our...
Yes! Get on with it!
All right, I will get on with it. This is the Nighttime Fiasco. I'm here with Will and Christiana, the lady in black. Say hi.
Hey, what's up, everybody? We're back.
Sound a little more enthusiastic there. Well, this is a podcast, and we're doing things a little bit differently, but I think it's going to work out better. We've got some plans for how we're going to do it. Bring some new things into the mix in the future and whatnot. But tonight we've got the incredible prog rock band Thrillkiller from Baltimore. We've got Rob and who else?
Oh, it'd just be me this evening. Kind of keep it more simple.
Okay,
That's
so this is Rob Bradley from Thrillkiller. So
yes, sir.
So I reviewed the album, the new album, and I loved. Actually, I reviewed the EP that you put out, and then the rest of the album. I mean, I totally, I've listened to the song probably 100 times. It's something that good. So
yeah, we both did, and
of
course loved it.
So I guess you had your premiere last night.
Yes, yeah, we did. Yeah, it was a heck of a success. I know Maxim and also at some point love to work with you guys again too. I just know since you got the new format and all, I know you guys are kind of iffy on trying to do multiple callers and stuff. So I just I chatted with him about that earlier, and I was like, I think I'm going to play it safe this time, but I'd like to see if we can get him on board next time too, because I know it's always a blast having him on board. He always likes talking to you guys and being a part of the show. But yeah, as for last night, it went over very well. The crowd was excellent. It was one of the best shows I've ever done in Baltimore. If I could say that safely on behalf of all of us. We have a new lineup we worked with. We worked with the same lineup last month in a show called Magstock, and they're great guys. We got some really good talent working with us. We have Boma Jack. She's a experienced drummer in the area. She's done some progressive metal stuff, been in rock bands, even video game cover bands. Really great resume as a drummer, really great temperament, very easy to work with. Working with Tyler Phillips, he worked with us on a second guitar, and on the show prior, he was also a keyboardist. And of course, we have Sebastian Ochoa. He joined us shortly after the release of Time, and he did the bass on every song. He did the bass on pretty much every other song after the EP, and he has proven to be the most technically efficient but yet exciting bass players I can say I've personally worked with, especially in original projects. He's the only bass player that I've done live shows with where I felt comfortable giving him a solo and just letting him rip with no real rehearsal. He's just excellent.
Yeah, I saw that video clip. I saw that video clip of the solo. He's a beast.
Yeah, he's
such an
easy guy to work with.
I will watch that as soon as I get a chance.
Yeah, when we auditioned him, it was funny because he was found to do on Craigslist, and he saw our ad, and we had the EP out. And usually when I talk to a bass player, because getting a good one can be a bit of a headache, and so at that point I was kind of preparing myself for disappointment, just because all the bassists I'd auditioned before just didn't seem to, they weren't really what we were looking for just various reasons and stuff. But then this guy shows up. He fit like everything about what we were looking for. More importantly, for the very first time, when I usually ask a bass player if they could send a video or show me some sort of footage of them playing, because I want to see if they could actually do things, like not just record something, but let me see what they look like, performing a song. Not only did I was expecting like a recording of him doing something on stage, but then he records all of time, the title track of the EP, and he does it like it's all one take. It's on his webcam. He's mouthing the lyrics out. He's jamming out, and it's just flawless. And it was like, well, I guess on the technical side of things, it looks like we're sold. But after he joined, I started having a lot of fun writing songs that could play around with bass lines for a change, like really kind of be bass-centric at times. And I think one of the first tunes I wrote specifically after he joined was the parts for Showdown, which is a really, like, it's got a lot of bass in there. It's got the really distinctive bass line going on. And
yeah, I love that song.
It's been so fun. It's because I feel like, man, I can, like, I'm in a band, I'm in a rock band now. We got a bass player who can just sell sections of songs on his own ability. And he, at times when we're on stage, is the most musically solid people on stage. Like if there's a time where like the whole band's great, but if there's a point where I'm like, I'm not sure if the guys have, like if there's a song we're rehearsing and there's one person I know is going to get it down really fast, it's Sebastian. Like, and he becomes like this musical rock, this foundation we have now that I can safely say that I don't think I've ever had that in either Aries or this band. We've worked with great guys over the years, but yeah, he is an absolute treat, great team player, wonderful attitude. I definitely look forward to introducing him to you guys. Maybe the whole lineup in general, because the other guys are very new, so I can't really give as many stories about working with him yet. However, the times I have worked with him have been nothing but easy, and it's really we're really lucky to work with everybody. So yeah, we worked with Matt Bittman again to finish the album out. The kind of extra member of Thrillkiller, he's like the one member. He's pretty much a member of the band. Composing, putting the drums together and all that, and just doing amazing engineering work. But he brought his brother in, actually, John Michael Bittman, to do sax. So that's Matt Bittman's brother, who is doing the saxophone in Showdown. He's also an established musician in the area. He's particularly in a band called Victims of Experience. And if you guys have not checked them out, I highly recommend them. Very good, kind of pop rock, kind of funk feel to them. One day it'd be definitely a bucket list to get a show with us and Victims. They're a complete treat to work with. And we also got to work with Athena Hyotis. She's from a band called Rev, and she's always busy. She's got a excellent resume in music, and so we were very fortunate with the guest musicians on this. And she did keyboards on A Reason, specifically the outro and the little piano part in the middle. A couple of things she did in there too. But both those guys, they just showed up. Oh, she just showed up and knocked everything out. Like they were so professional about it. I mean, when we showed John Michael the song for the sax, the only part, like Maxim showed on a part that I wrote, this melody where it's like a it was that part, and after that we were just like, at that point, go crazy. And that was the only instructions that guy had for that solo, and it was pretty much him after that, just ripping it up. So yeah, it's been a heck of a journey. My next objective is figuring out how to mail all of these awards. We never had this issue with Aries. I mean, we had good Kickstarters, but it was always people local to us, and so I could make trips. But once I'm done, once tomorrow rolls around, I'm going to have to figure out how to ship a hoodie, a shot glass, a shirt, a CD to the Netherlands, to Israel. It's a trip. It's really awesome.
But that
now, are you planning on...
to put things... Oh, I'm sorry. Well, go ahead.
Oh, are you planning on hitting the road at some point?
Yes, I'm working on that right now. was kind of perfectly timed and not so perfectly timed for this album to come out. I aimed for the album to come out. Basically, I kind of projected how long it would take to finish it, and then I added a month to the end of that. Like, I thought we'd be ready to have this album done by late May, June. And so I was like, all right, that's a forecast I have. Let's go add a month. Well, a couple things coincided with that. One, most interestingly, actually, was the day we released Showdown was a day after Aries ended, a year prior.
See, I was just about to bring that up. To put things in perspective to people listening to this. I mean, this is how fast your band evolves. It's just to give an idea of how dedicated you guys are and how tight you guys are and how the quality of musicianship that's there in this band, to just give an idea to listeners out there who are not familiar with Thrillkiller or how they got started, is that you guys posted on your Facebook, I think the day before yesterday or 2 days ago, or 3 days ago, that it was the anniversary of the day Aries broke up. And within that time, I mean, just in a year's time, you've put together this band, Thrillkiller. You've released an EP. You have an album out. You're doing shows. You've got all this stuff going on, and it's just a lot of bands. When they break up, it takes a while for them to regroup or even find another niche, if they ever do. But you guys, it's like you just literally weren't going to rest on your laurels. You just picked right back up and did it way better than, because Aries kicked ass. I'm not going to lie. They were a great band.
Appreciate it.
But it's like this is a whole other, it's like you guys just took Aries and blasted it off into the stratosphere, and it's totally something better now.
Appreciate it. That's one of the biggest things when I came up with the idea for this group. When things ended with the band, Maxim was kind of the new guy in the group, and he was just really excited to be in music, which is a great attribute, provided you work with the right kind of people. They're the kind of people that don't want to screw you over or be shady and whatnot. Being excited is a good thing. We all start that way in music. We are all really wide-eyed and really want to do a good job. However, one of the downsides of that is you can be taken advantage of by other people who may be bitter. They might be, maybe don't have the right motivations and those kind of things. And so typically that kind of a personality works very well with, that kind of excited personality works really well with someone who, really still wants to do this. I mean, for me, I thought I can't not do it. When you've been around the block enough times, you're more, I guess it's harder to, I guess you're more privy to nuances about, I guess, people, the industry and whatnot. And I think that dynamic is part of why Thrillkiller works pretty well, because Maxim has been an excellent teammate to work with. And I've said in a recent interview I had with Transcendent Events by a guy named Kevin Hawk, great person, by the way. He was also behind our debut show. But, as I was doing the interview, I made a point to point out that, Maxim was a great guitarist when he joined Aries, but there's one thing about him is he rises to the occasion a lot, and I think he's more talented than he gives himself credit for. And as a result, he focuses so much on doing a good job, and he doesn't spend a lot of time stepping back going, wow, look how great I am, which is admirable. You want to focus on just moving forward, and I think it makes for why the band has been progressing. It's not just the fact that I was really, for me, it's like I can't not be in a band at this point. I've done it for so many years that it's ingrained in who I am. I wasn't depressed for a moment about Aries being over. When that ended, the day that ended, Thrillkiller kind of began. It was just, how is this going to happen? What's the name of the project? What's going to happen? It
literally was that fast, because I think I remember talking to you when that happened, and you were like, don't even worry about it. I already have another band. Like, oh, okay.
Right. It was just, it wasn't so much about, I didn't have the pieces lined up at the time, but I had been, I did a lot of the work in terms of the managerial aspects of Aries. I'm sure, when we had some stuff we did on some of the shows as well, Will and Thunder, and now the Nighttime Fiasco. I was always the contact. I was always the guy kind of making sure people were happy. So I knew that wherever I went with the new project, I'd have those friends, because I try to make a really big effort to make sure people like me, because that's usually, I think some people have this ideology where they think that they'll get their way by just thinking that, you know, things are owed to them, and that inherently ends up never quite working, because in the long run, people just, they aren't going to want to work with you. And I try to, like, for us, the way I try to work with people in Aries, and I think it paid off, was I wanted to make sure people wanted to work with us. I wanted to make sure people liked working with us. Things ended, people kind of were in this position of, okay, well, what's next, dude? And this was kind of that. And then with the combined things that Maxim brought to the table, and then also, thankfully, with what Matt Bittman also could provide to us, it kind of helped make kind of a perfect kind of storm going on there. And you know, I'm always going to be doing something. You know, I always make sure that I always have a kind of baby or something I'm working on. So with Thrillkiller, I'm immensely proud of it. I'm immensely proud of it, you know, not just as a musician about what I've done in this project, but more importantly about what we've accomplished. And also that it didn't, you know, I guess that whenever I like sell tickets for shows and whatnot, we do a good job in terms of our pre-sales, but I think I can never see the people we sell tickets to as fans, because I always end up making friends with them. And because we don't, like, I guess we don't have traditional fans, because we're just selling tickets to our friends. And so whatever project we end up doing, those are still our friends. And
that's actually true, because some guests at the show last night were some other past guests of ours, the guys from Clark's Secret Identity. They were at the show last night.
Oh, yeah. I love those guys.
We've also had them on the show. So it's just, it's kind of happened with us, too, the same way. It's that it seems like we book this one band and then 10 other bands come into it and they all know each other and everybody. It's really been cool over these last couple of years to see how that's happened, where we just get introduced to one band, and as a result, we get introduced to this family tree of these other bands that all tour together. And so I think that I really thought that that's great. And I noticed that your scene in Baltimore, the D.C. area, and in that general area is really known for that. Like it seems like I got introduced to, just by knowing A Sound of Thunder, I got introduced to all these other bands, including yours, and all these other different bands that you've toured with. And I just think that's really cool how you guys all kind of band together and work together, rather than, because you see a lot of rivalry out there in the business. You see a lot of bands just hating on each other for stupid reasons, and it's just that really just unnerves me a lot, because we're all in this together. You know, there's enough room for everybody, and not everybody, like you just said, not everybody's going to like you. You know, it's just the way it is.
And I agree. I think that when people have specifically unnecessary rivalries in music, like if there's no reason behind it, which is sadly common, when you see that, I know to them it makes them feel superior, but it's more an exercise in insecurity. It's showing that there's something the musicians feel unfulfilled about, and as a result, they have to kind of express themselves that way about other musicians. I mean, you're not gonna like everyone's music. You're not gonna like anyone in your life. But the objective is to try to minimize that. Like, I try to make sure the list of people that don't like me is a small list, and sometimes we're not able to.
I don't see how you can not like Thrillkiller. I mean, that band. If somebody says, "Oh, I don't like Thrillkiller," I think they should go get their head examined if you don't like this band. But let's show everybody what you're talking about. Let's play a song. Which song should we play?
You know, would you like to try the title track of the Elm Showdown?
I love that song. So if you're down with that, I'm down with that.
Sure, let's give it a crack.
All right, this is Showdown by Thrillkiller, and we'll be right back on the Nighttime Fiasco. All right, welcome back to the Nighttime Fiasco. That's I love that song. Great album.
Thanks, man.
Pretty fast song
That
too.
sax part is just
Yeah, right.
That sax part is great. And the sax player was at your show last night, right?
Yes, he was gracious enough to come on down, and we have a little clip of it. But yeah, he played the sax. The guy who played sax in it did sax on the debut, so it was really awesome having him up there with us.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, a lot of people make jokes that, saxophone and metal music, but you guys make it work, and it sounds very killer.
I was trying to get some sort of a sax on one of our tunes. I had a couple songs that I thought were candidates, but then when we laid down the showdown, it was like Matt and I were kind of like, I think, yeah, this is the one. Like, this is going to work here. So I was really happy with that one. During the tracking, Max made a note that he said, like, the entire time he could just see the grin on my face. I could not get it off. Just listening to this guy just laying sax there, I was like, yeah, this song is complete. He was great. But yeah, part of, I guess, why I did a little ramble earlier, I was when I was talking, I had like this gnat. It like flew right in my mouth, and so I was like trying to remember where I was going with everything. I was kind of going off on a tangent for a second there.
No.
It's pretty gross.
But you're a pro. You keep going. The show must go on, right?
I appreciate it, man. But yeah, it's just all, it all started back in, like after Aries ended, I was just starting to dabble in coming up with, like melodies and parts of songs without needing a guitar player initially. For instance, that song, Relentless, we played on your show. That was like one of the very last Aries singles. That was created back when I was, like the melodies and all that stuff, that came first. I, for a change, just was like, and I sent to our guitar player at the time, and he started writing around it. And so after that, I just started kind of going, what would happen if I started kind of coming up with all the ideas and putting them together and then showing them to musicians. And thankfully, my girlfriend Claire was really supportive at that point, because I was very nervous for a few weeks, just tinkering with these songs that eventually became Time and Passion Killer and stuff after I worked with Maxim and whatnot on them. But yeah, when people ask me about it, I say it was an experiment.
I had a question.
Sure.
The music that you guys did with Aries versus the music with Thrillkiller is night and day different. I mean, there's no comparison. Yeah. So, is Thrillkiller kind of more or less what a good reflection of who you are musically, your style and whatnot, or was Aries, or are you just multi-styled?
Good question. It kind of depends, I guess, on the phase I'm in. Musically, though, I would say Thrillkiller is much, much more me, because the way Aries and previous bands I was in worked was I would be just given the music, and then I would write the vocal melodies and lyrics with them, and then we'd create songs that way. However, with Thrillkiller, the process I'm a lot more innately involved in. At times, actually, I was a few times where I was actually a little bit of an outfit about a few parts, particularly on the EP. I think now we've got a very good rhythm going on now. No, nowadays, like I sent a track to Chris earlier of the acapella for one of the songs Fever, and you'll hear like there's a click in the background, and it's me singing like the bass line, the guitar line, and then me singing lyrics over top of it. So this is certainly much more an extension of me. Now, if we're talking about like high school, like late high school, like power metal days, Aries would probably be closer to that. However, I was in a power metal band before that, but it's a tough call. But I would say Thrillkiller, yeah. I've already written the groundwork for album 2 for about 7 songs already. It just keeps kind of popping in my head now. So, yeah, this is very me, I'd say. And again, I'm lucky that I get to work with these musicians. Like Maxim, his ears, like he learned he was the only guitar player that when he auditioned for Aries, he learned every part of those songs practically by ear, which is really, that's a feat, because Aries was definitely a lot of kind of guitar pyrotechnic stuff, and he learned it by ear.
That shows what kind of musicians you guys are, and that's why Thrillkiller is so, I struggle to find the word, but I guess more professional, for lack of a better term, because you guys both have that same kind of dedication, and you know, most people when they audition for a band, okay, let's find out the band's main songs that they play and learn those, and I'll figure out the rest later. But for someone to go and learn every part, and because you never know when you're going to play that song, or if you never know if this person's going to say to you, okay, do this part from this song. So I really find that commendable that he would go out of his way to do that. And also the story that you told me behind how a lot of these songs got written and the methods that you used really speaks to me as well as the level of professionalism and how you guys just really go above and beyond what's expected of your standard musician when they make an album. Like, you guys really go out of your way to not just do the standard thing. You guys actually want to do better than even that, and I think that's really cool.
I appreciate it. You know, I think one of the ways I think one of the habits I have with stuff I do, and I think Maxim and I think pretty much any dedicated musician views it, is whenever I make a release of some kind, the objective is how can we outdo what happened in the last album? Not because the last stuff's bad, but just if you set a goal for yourself, you know, if it's a really goal, you might land it.
You're gonna grow as a musician anyway, and that's expected. I mean, that's what made the '80s, you know, metal so great is because it's like that during that time it was like let's get as good as we can possibly get. And a lot of bands, you know, they might have an album like, take Queensryche for example.
I was about to go them too. Came to mind.
Their first EP is, you know, it's like almost garage sounding, and then, you know, you fast forward to like a masterpiece like Promised Land or Operation Mindcrime and everything. You know, each album has a progression, and people might not like this album or that
evolving.
album.
Like, even just jumping from Warning to Rage for Order was a huge. Like, every album was a huge leap. Whether you liked where they were going or not, it was always, you could always expect something different. It wasn't going to be like AC/DC, for example, where you always know what you're going to get. And they're great at that, don't get me wrong. I'm not dissing AC/DC, but they're really one of the few bands out there that can kind of get away with being predictable and doing the same thing, and people want that from them. Everybody else is kind of like, you know, it's kind of a battle there. Some people claim they want the same thing over and over, but when they actually get it, they complain about it. Like, well, I don't want the same thing over and over.
like Rat, for example. You know, I mean, all of their albums basically sounded the same. I mean, the same style and everything. I mean, Warren DeMartini was a great guitar player, but the, you know, like, let's Reach for the Sky sounds just like their EP. I mean, there's really no change in it.
I definitely agree with that, and it's with the album. You know, I know Maxim. It was a growing process for us in general, not just Matt, not just, you know, Maxim, you know, not just me, but, you know, we had Sebastian on board. But it was kind of, you know, collectively learning. Like, there were a couple times putting those other songs together where it got a little intense there. Not like fighting wise, but just there was some difficult stuff in there, like Putting the Storm Down. That was, I guess, unintentional prog, because there was a little bit of a miscommunication between myself and then Maxim and then Matt, but it ended up making like this kind of Frankenstein of a song. But those kind of things weren't really happening anymore with the rest of the album, because at this point, Maxim and I had gotten used to writing together, and we also had, at this point, Sebastian joining us in those sessions where, you know, if there was something that Maxim missed, Sebastian would not miss it, you know, or vice versa. So I would say I know Maxim is more proud of the new stuff. I have a hard time deciding, but he's more proud because he kind of, like, we're on the same page better now. There's a couple things that he might have done differently on the first 4, but I view it as, what created those songs was a nice snapshot of just where we were musically, and it's part of why it worked out nicely. When I record songs, I don't think much about, is it perfect, because you'll never get perfection. You try to throw your ideas onto a canvas, which is kind of the studio, and then the canvas kind of, creates some of the art itself. And through all that, you're not just recording notes. You're recording kind of a human experience there. So with the new stuff, it's hard to say if it's better, but it's tough to compare because our method, while similar, we communicated it a lot more efficiently. However, it's still a tough call to figure out what the best single is on the album. Like Passion Killer, it's tough. I still find myself going, man, I set out to write a single better than that one. I just don't know. It's freaking catchy. So
I think Passion Killer is my favorite one.
Every song on that album is a single. If you really think about it, if you put any one of them on the radio right now, I think they'd be a hit.
I appreciate it. We had that talk kind of between everybody. It was like, I know Matt said that. He was like, I think the hardest thing about this album right now is figuring out, what single or singles you want to release. And so yeah, it's a good problem to have. We don't really have a one person's filler song is another person's favorite, and it's consistently been like that. So I'm very happy about that.
Yeah, I don't hear any filler on that album, but that's just me.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be hard pressed to find anybody who would say that. Has anybody said that? I'd be curious to know.
No, I'm happy to say that. I have not heard anyone say anything about anything being filler. The worst, speaking of which, I found a review from April from a Netherlands publication, and it's officially the lowest review any of our music's received, and it was actually still a positive review. It was an 8.3 out of 10, and that's currently the lowest she ever received on any release of ours.
Wow.
So I'm the final line said, keep an eye out for Thrillkiller. They're gonna be this. So I was like, yeah, this is officially the lowest grade we've received. Huh. Maybe
nice. I should make bumper stickers, Thrillkiller, no filler,
Yeah, I guess. There are a couple puns that I've tried to avoid, but that is definitely one. As recording the album, it's been difficult to resist saying it's all killer, no filler. You find yourself being like, I don't want to be that guy.
You bring up puns. I'm putting together a Meatloaf tribute band, and
I heard about that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I just came up with. Actually, I was talking to Thunder last night, and he actually came up with this. He's like, when you guys are doing your shows and you introduce the band, you say, all right, we are Bad Out of Hell, a tribute to the music of Meatloaf. That's the name I came up with it. And right. Thunder says, or you could just call it, or you could just call us Ketchup, because everybody knows that ketchup is the best way to cover meatloaf.
Oh,
nice.
That's a pretty good one.
Oh, that's a pretty good fun. I'll give him that one.
Thunder.
I like that one.
But yeah, we got a little less than 10 minutes left. So
yeah,
but the time goes by so fast because you're always such a great guest. You're always so animated.
Appreciate it.
You have a lot to say, and you're interesting to talk to. Because a lot of bands, they may have a lot to say, but eventually it gets tedious, or they kind of run out of things to tell us. But you never do. So that's always why we love having you on the show. And
I have a tendency to ramble, and so over the years I've been doing my best to try to manage it, but still give a lot to say, but also to avoid, rambling on things that are either unrelated or repeating the same things a few times, and also to do my best to try to give credit where it's due. While I would say Thrillkiller is definitely the closest extension musically to myself, it would, without a shadow of a doubt, not have been possible without some truly impressive people for making it happen. So I wanted to make a point to remember to give credit specifically where it's due. Speaking of two, I know along the process, I'm sure we brought him up before, but our friend Matt Farkas, who I know you guys are familiar with from Master Sword, without him, this process would have been a lot harder. There are actually very, very rough demos we recorded in his house for Passion Killer and a couple of those old tunes to show to Matt Bittman. And he was gracious enough to help us with that. And once Mr. Bittman and us kind of got a rhythm going on, we no longer needed to do that. But for a little bit there, that guy donated a good amount of time. And so it was one of the many reasons why I worked with him on Master Sword. Not a giant Zelda fan, but I got to say those guys make some amazing music, so it made it totally worth working with them. And they're also
that's another band we have been meaning to get on the show for the longest time, but it's just the timing has been off, and Matt's just been like, can we wait till the new stuff comes out? And then they got a new singer, so it's just, we definitely are going to have them on the show. Yeah, she's great. So I can't wait to get, and of course, I think I played the song that Nina did a while back for you on the show, Will. And then, of course, we played the song you did, Rob, on our Super Bowl show. So I'm pretty sure you guys, that Will's heard it. And I don't think he's had a chance to meet anybody from Master Sword yet, unless you count Jesse from A Sound of Thunder, but that's about it.
Yeah, no, Matt's, all those guys are great. And I know Matt's going to be a great guest, too, because he has a lot to say, but he knows how to, he's not a guy that likes to ramble, but if you ask him questions, he'll always have good insight, and he's very chill. So you'll have a blast working with him. And he is one of the most, he's very far from arrogant. He's a very humble guy. So he has this really awesome project that a lot of people are kind of flipping out about right now. But if you talk to him, he's just totally, just kind of a big video game nerd at heart who happens to be good at a bunch of things. So yeah, you'll have a blast with them.
Yeah, I can't wait to get them on the show. But Will, anything? I mean, I'm trying to think of any more questions I might have other than the obvious, which you already asked. Are you guys touring? And you did a show last night, your release party.
Yeah, touring. Quick rundown about that. We will be touring, and I'm currently in between emails between. We have dates. I can't announce them yet because they might get filled, they might not. I want to do much more extensive shows. However, I'm currently involved in it's a symphonic metal rock opera happening in the next 2 months, and it takes place in a location it's called Frederick, and it's about an hour and a half away from me. So I'm kind of wrestling with those dates because it's going to be a great time. It's just going to be a big commitment. But
now what's that project? Because it sounds like something that I would love.
Oh, it's a treat. I'll go on that real quick. It's a classic murder mystery musical that this company called Landless Theater are whipping together. They did.
So we're also on our show.
Yes, you had them on the show. You had Andrew Bogman, excellent guy, great person to work with. They're putting it together. It's going to be a symphonic metal version of it. I'm looking forward to working in it. And while it's happening, however, it's important that Showdown gets shows. I want to support this album big time. So the plan is for us to do some limited kind of touring. I want to get at least, hopefully, about 2 shows a month. And then once the Mystery of Adventure is over with, then the real touring begins, and we can just go crazy with dates and stuff. So
make sure you come to Orlando or Cocoa Beach or somewhere in Central Florida.
Yeah, it's more likely
I'd love to look into that. That's definitely something I'd like to look into for the fall. The current plan is I want us to do shows where we can still make it back home at the end of the day because of the other stuff going on. But once we go in the fall, definitely expect a message. I definitely want to talk to you about some dates down there because we'd love to go down there. Band. Last thing about these guys, their temperament about touring is amazing because when you talk to some new musicians, you always got to worry about saying, we're going to do these shows. Can you commit to them? And you got to cross your fingers and think, are they going to give an objection to it? Are they going to not be able to do this, not be able to do that? The reaction for the new guys, Tyler and Boma, they immediately were just like, yeah, sure, where are we going? Oh, excellent. Oh, well, stay tuned. Cool.
Nice.
Here's the dates. I'll be back. So it's going to be a lot of fun with these guys. It's definitely going to be a complete blast. So,
well, let's go. Let's go ahead and wrap it up. Give us your social media links and tell us which song to play to take us out.
Yeah, sure. So our main website is thrillkiller.net. We also have a Facebook page, facebook.com/thrillkillermusic. You can find us also at Reverb Nation, reverbnation.com/thrillkiller3. And those are the major ones. I know we have an Instagram that someone was running for us. However, we don't use it too much, and I think those links we're definitely active on. And also our new album, we managed to get it to time perfectly. So we actually are now on Amazon, Google Play, all that fun stuff. So if you guys don't want the digital copy of it, it's anywhere. You just look it up. We're even being pirated the day it came out. We have some torrents, illegal downloading, which is kind of an honor. It did not happen in the last band. But you can definitely find it everywhere. So, yeah, as for last song, that's a tough call. I got to think about that. What do you guys think? I'll kind of leave it to you guys.
Well, you know me, there's not a bad one in the bunch, so I'm fine with any of them. Will, you pick one?
I don't know them by name. Hold on, let me pull it up real quick.
I thought you said you liked Passion Killer the best.
We played Passion Killer the last time.
That's true.
Yeah. How about we do, since, I know we kind of kicked it off back when Aries joined as kind of a metal band, how about we go for the most heavy-hitting, hard-hitting tune on the album, Social Disease, and end it that way?
The final track?
Yeah, let's give it that.
You got it.
I love that song.
Thank you. It's a lot of fun.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much again, Rob, for, you're practically like the other... You're practically like the other host of the show. You've been on here so many times, but we always love having you. And as soon as we can figure this thing out with getting more people on the show at once, we'd be glad to have you all on the show at the same time. And
sure.
If you guys come to the West Coast, definitely let me know, and I will try to get to where you are.
It might be something that could be in the works. It might be possible. I've got a couple people I'm talking to.
All right. Well, good night, everybody. We're like literally running out of time, but this has been the Nighttime Fiasco. It's been our guest Rob Bradley with Thrillkiller. We're gonna take it out with the song "Social Disease" off of their album Showdown. And until next time, good night from myself, Will, and Christiana, the Lady in Black, and Rob Bradley from Thrillkiller. Good night, everybody.
Thanks. Night.